Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. This is FAE Business Systems Group, and we are hosting our webinar today on relationship intelligence and marketing automation. We're going to be talking about how using relationship intelligence and marketing automation can boost your lead acquisition strategy and help win you some more deals. We're also going to tell you what relationship intelligence is, as well as what marketing automation is, in case you're not aware of it. My name's Jesse. I'm the Marketing Director at FAE Business Systems Group. We're a SugarCRM partner and an Axon partner. And today's session is meant to be as interactive as possible. So if you've got any questions, you can enter them in the chat box, and I'll monitor those, and I'll send them over to the presenters as we go. So if you have any questions at any time, please feel free to ask. Jump to the next slide and then just introduce our presenters today. We have Caleb. He's our account executive at FAE Business Systems Group, and we've also got Scott Alders, a channel account manager at Axon Software. They're going to take us through today's presentation. And again, thanks for joining us. And Caleb, why don't you take it away?
Okay, thanks, Jesse. And just to be clear, can everyone hear me okay? Jesse, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you sound good.
All right. Sorry, phone just went out right before, so I switched over to another phone. Sorry about that. But yeah, as Jesse said, we gave a quick agenda for today's call. So just going to give you a little background on FAE Business Systems Group. While we feel we have the right to speak with you today, Scott is going to give some background on Axon as well. I'm going to touch on what is relationship intelligence, what is marketing automation, what is Hint, and then get into some of the benefits of marketing automation and Hint together. So as Jesse said, again, my name is Caleb Dagan. I'm an account executive here at FAE Business Systems Group. We are located in Southern California, just outside of Los Angeles. We have 25 plus years of experience with over 500 clients today. We are an elite SugarCRM partner. You don't get the elite status by just selling a lot of licenses. We're an elite partner because we have a very wide number of certifications for SugarCRM, ranging from being admins to support to also sales certifications as well, and also developer certifications. All of our programming and all of our support team is located here in the United States. We do have offices across the country in Austin, Texas, in Atlanta, and also in Philadelphia, where I'm located at.
Hey, Caleb. I think you may have lost the audio there for a second. Give him a minute to log back in. But I can take over, just continuing to talk a little bit about FAE Business Systems Group. We're also a Axon consulting partner, so we work really tightly between the two product platforms of Sugar and Axon and their channel. And we specialize in the marketing automation CRM space. We've got a lot of experience in a lot of different platforms and evaluating them and discussing their best practices and use for success. Caleb, have you jumped back on? Looks like he's just logging right back in.
There he goes.
Yeah, I'm back. I'm sorry about that. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Gotcha.
Okay, I apologize. My internet seems to be going in and out. A great time for that.
Yeah.
Where was the last time? Where was the last time that
we just wrapped up this slide, and we can go on and head on over to the next.
All right. Again, sorry about that. So yeah, just one more slide here on FAE Business Systems Group. So this is just a slide on all of our different integrations and products that we have. Why we love working with Sugar so much is because it gives us the ability to build all these different integrations and do a lot with Sugar. So we have all these integrations to accounting software like QuickBooks, like ERP systems like NetSuite and Sage, project management like Jira, cloud storage like Box and Dropbox. We also here have a new cash portal that we've released about a year ago or so that gives access to all sugar information and all sugar data out to a customer service portal, which could be accessed by your partners, your dealers, your customers at a fraction of the cost of sugar licenses. So these are just a couple of the products that we have built and that we supported over the last many years. Right, next slide before I pass it over to Scott, talk about marketing automation a bit. The reason for this webinar is relationship intelligence and marketing automation. So what is relationship intelligence? Relationship intelligence is a tool that accelerates call preparation time by providing you with all the customer contact and social network information you need with just a name and an email. It helps you spend less time on research and maintenance so that you can spend more time getting to know your customers. We'll give live examples of what relationship intelligence is directly within a demo instance of SugarCRM. Okay. And I'll pass it over to Scott to talk about marketing automation. What is marketing automation?
Perfect. Thanks, Caleb. And echoing everybody, hey, good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you guys are located. So one of the things that I always like to do is make sure that we're kind of on the same page and understanding what is marketing automation, because a lot of times marketing automation gets just grouped into, oh, that's just email marketing. And that's a huge part of it. I mean, email marketing and email is only increasing. Some statistics are the amount of emails that are going to be out there and addresses are just increasing, double within the next couple of years. So absolutely, email marketing is a piece of what the overall arching thing of what marketing automation is. But, take it even further down the line. So marketing automation is taking everything that you are able to learn about your customer and how they're interacting with you. So everything from web tracking. When somebody comes onto your website and they sign up for a form, which is one of the things that we're going to talk about today, once we're able to cookie them and understand where are they interacting with you, what areas are they spending the most time in, and as they return to your website, we can start seeing, okay, so Bob has been spending a lot of time looking at this new equipment piece that we have or new offering that we have. Fantastic. That is so valuable. And then taking that even further into something like lead scoring and being able to really qualify. Just because somebody came onto the site and may have downloaded a white paper or case study, that's probably not ready for a salesperson to reach out and contact, right? It's helping nurture that lead and getting them to a level of saying where they're raising their hand and saying, yeah, I actually do want to talk a little bit more about your product or your offering. Going in even further into social. Social is something that is becoming much more relevant these days. And, if you don't have a plan for social, really you should be thinking about it, even if it's something as simple as making sure you've got a LinkedIn page and are able to publish that. And maybe Twitter can be something that you can use. But, what really at the end of the day is taking all of these different pieces and puzzles that you've got, different technologies, and bringing them into one central location, one dashboard. And at the end of the day, really, marketing automation gets down to getting the right message to the right person at the right time and in the right channel of how they want to be engaged with you. So that's from what we do with Faye and Sugar and Acton. That's where the power really comes in with marketing automation, because you're just developing a really, really good profile of your prospects and your existing customers of how are they interacting with you. When it's done right, huge growth in that, not only from leads and conversions, but continuing to be able to contact and nurture your existing customers. So just at a nutshell, look, kind of a long explanation, but that's what marketing automation really boils down to. Next slide.
Sure. Okay. Thanks, Scott. And yeah, the next topic here is really the benefits of marketing automation and hint. So kind of the reason why we're here to speak to you today on this topic. So number one, I think one of the biggest benefits of marketing automation and hint is the ability to have less fields on your forms needed to increase the submissions on your forms. So I'll leave this page for a second. So the next slide here we have is actually, a form that we call, getting married before dating. So I'm sure, many of you have logged on to someone's website, you've tried to download a white paper or an ebook, or tried to register for a webinar, and they have put out these forms here where they try to ask you, everything about yourself, from your company name to your email address to your title to what city and state you live in. And these forms just, they don't typically get filled out. The response rate, the completion rate of these forms is very low. So with hint, all you need is a name and an email. So if you ask someone on a form very simply what their first name is, what their last name is, and their email, hint and the relationship intelligence with it can bring back all this data you see here on the right within SugarCRM. So right within an intelligence pane within the lead or the contact record, right within the intelligence pane within any of the list views as well. Okay, I'm going to show you a live example of this in a moment, but just a quick quote that I took from a blog written by SugarCRM's Chief Product Officer, Rich Green. He said that in short, hint minimizes the time spent on cumbersome overhead of CRM, locating, organizing accurate data, and it frees you to do much more with what you do best, which is interacting with your customers. So next slide here is actually, a quick and easy form. So this is a form that we can generate act on within just a couple of minutes, where all you're asking is the first name, the last name, the email address, and basically hint will do the rest. So just to give you an example of what this looks like live inside of a demo instance, I created myself as a lead, and I'm just going to show you real quickly, kind of just with a name, first name, last name, and an email address, what hint can give back to you. So here we're just right within the record view. Say you're a sales rep and you're working down your list of leads for a given day. You would have to go name by name. You'd have to go out to LinkedIn. You have to search for each one of these people. Sometimes it can be difficult to find people out there on LinkedIn. Then you have to take all the data from LinkedIn and you have to import that back into Sugar. Typically, field by field, you might have to copy and paste their LinkedIn address, copy and paste their company name, everything right back into Sugar. Well, with Sugar right here within this, with hints right here within this list view, you can actually click the preview button here. And within the intelligence pane on the right, it'll take about 2 seconds. It's going to find all the details on this person just because I have their first name, their last name, and their email address. So it was able to pull in my LinkedIn profile, which you can click right into and go right out to that LinkedIn profile. It's going to pull in details about where I went to college, my Facebook profile even, all the details about Fay Business Systems Group, our company profile, where we're located at. And you can click each one of these and you can add this data directly to that record, or you can take all of the data that's provided by hint and enrich your customer profiles. So real quick, just by hitting that button, you can see here that the account name was filled in, the LinkedIn profile was filled in, the Facebook profile was filled in. And if I click on that lead record, again, you can see that title was filled in. We have a little panel down here for hint. It's going to fill in with education, previous jobs, the industry, my LinkedIn profile. So now instead of the next time I go out and speak to Caleb Daig, I don't have to go out and search LinkedIn each time. His LinkedIn profile is going to be right here. It's going to save me a lot of time every time, and it's all going to be right here for the sales reps to have all this data for them. It can also be made available within this intelligence pane over here to the right. You can have a little hint dashlet where it'll show all these details right here in the intelligence pane. So if you don't want that data within fields, you could always just have it here within the intelligence pane. So there's just a quick little demo of how Hint works directly within Sugar. I'll go back here to our benefits slide. And as I kind of talked through this there for a second, but again, the benefits of Hint is you're spending less time finding out more data about your prospects. So it probably would have taken me 20 minutes or so to go out to LinkedIn and learn more about that contact and then put it back into the CRM. But with Hint, as you can see, it took me 1 minute to populate all that data and learn more about my prospect before I give them a call. Okay. So all this
Caleb, what's really cool on that is once that information is put into Sugar, what's great is then either from a marketing standpoint or from a sales standpoint, that's all stuff that you can start building out your segments and your targeted campaigns on from within Acton. So, again, the huge time saver that Hint is bringing into this, I mean, the commitment from the prospect or the customer is so minimal. One of the things that we've talked about at Acton is on forms. We call it form friction, right? And it's the fewer lines that you have to have a prospect or a customer fill out, the better. And kind of one of our best practices is if you've got a form, don't have any more than 5 fields. And even at 5 fields, you're kind of getting into that friction area of, is somebody really going to fill it out? Like you had shown earlier there on that slide, Caleb, it's sort of the customer or your prospect is feeling like, man, you're asking me to get married, and I'm just trying to figure out if we're going on a first date. This would be the form that you do not want to use. Like the note up there is this is a form that just is not going to convert. But with what Hint can do and pull that information into Sugar automatically for the rep, and then the ability to break out segments on that one. So you can start saying, like, I want to go ahead and send an email blast out to everybody within Fay Business Systems Group. Well, that's tagged right there automatically. So, real quick pivoting within Acton, we can build that segment out, and it's just going to take a few minutes then to build that out. But yeah, the power of Hint is so huge and a time saver. And again, the ask of the customer or the prospect is so minimal because of all the work that Hint's doing on the back end. It's really a game changer in the industry.
And Scott, did you want to give some background here on progressive profiling?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is, one of the things that we can do within Acton and Sugar is we're talking about progressive profiling. So, again, this is the idea of, like we were looking at earlier, the form progression. So you can, we're asking for just some very minimal information up front, something that we can capture and we can start marketing to them. So, at the bare minimum, we want to get a first name and last name and an email address. Maybe you're in an industry that requires a state to be entered in there too, because you're doing like a controlled substance. I'm thinking of Portland, Oregon is wine country. We're really close to wine country, so a lot of the wineries that I am fortunate to be able to go to, there's a requirement, can we actually ship to the state? So, maybe you've got something that's first name, last name, email, and a state. Well, that's great information to capture, and then what you can start doing is within the progressive profiling, we've actually been able to cookie that person because they've given us that information. So the next time they come into the website, you're able to start asking for a little bit more information because you're not asking them to refill in all that information. We know who they are. So, the second time they come in, maybe you're saying, tell me a little bit about yourself. What type of industry you're in? What, company name? And you're wanting to do this as simply as possible. You can see there's a lot of drop downs in there. The third time they come back to the website, and this is, again, we talked about that a little bit earlier, was the understanding of how people are interacting with you on your website. So we're understanding, hey, these people keep coming back. This is a really, really good thing. So the next time they come back and they're looking for some information, you can go a little bit further and say, well, we know a little bit more about you. You've shared us some more information. So let's talk about, what is your actual phone number? What's your, in this particular case, we're asking for buying authority. And then, at the end of the day, on the last one, on the progressive profiling, we're asking, hey, is this something you're interested in purchasing? And this is very soft. I mean, we're not asking for all this information up front, like we showed on that other form. This is just something that's easy and gentle. But, the first thing you really want to do is, what's the bare minimum that you need to capture within your form so you can start marketing to them? Really name, email, and, again, if a state is a requirement that you get, then you can start engaging with them further, so we can start saying, hey, we're going to send this email out that has our newsletter in there. And you can start saying, oh, they clicked into this area within the newsletter, and we track that as well. So that's the advantage of progressive profiling. You're taking it slow and easy, crawl, walk, run, and you're not asking for everything up front. And what we've seen working within Sugar as well, the native integration, it works so smoothly and seamlessly to be able to progressively build out this profile. But the great thing about Hint is a lot of this is being captured behind the scenes, that we're not having to ask the customers for this, because we already know, because Hint has gone out and done the work for us. We are being able to capture, like Caleb showed earlier, we captured his actual title. So that's not something we need to ask in the second form that's coming through. We've been able to figure out what company he's working for, what size company, things like that. So incredibly powerful. But this, again, looking at what we can do within Acton and Sugar together with this progressive profiling and taking in a crawl, walk, run, hugely powerful, and it's very non-invasive for your customers and your prospects. So thanks, Caleb. That's basically where we want to go with the idea on progressive profiling.
Question came in on what happens if somebody uses Zemi, so they have 2 or 3 different email addresses, but it's the same person. How does that affect, like, what happens in Sugar, what happens in Acton? How does it organize all that information?
Okay. Caleb, you want to take the thing within Sugar?
Yeah, and you said one person would fill out a form, Jesse, and they might have 2 or 3 different email addresses.
Right. Maybe they filled out the form with a business email, and then maybe next week they filled out the form with personal email or something like that.
Right. So, on the Sugar side, it's going to basically look at the first name, the last name, and the email address, and it's going to do its best job to kind of match them up and merge their records together. Typically, the unique identifier within Sugar, when you fill out a form or something, would be that email address. So if the email addresses differ, it would create separate records within Sugar, but very simple to be able to merge the two together within Sugar, and then add that one contact with 2 email addresses that are associated to them.
Yeah, and within Acton, what we would be looking at is a reverse IP lookup. So if they're actually logging in from the same IP every time, we can understand that, but we're going to rely, like Caleb said, we're really going to rely on Sugar for the intelligence to come over and say, okay, we've identified this as the same person. They've got 2 different email addresses. And maybe the question then we would be able to send out to something like that has 2 email addresses under one contact ID and say, which one do you want to mark as primary? Which one do you prefer to communicate on? So we can understand it's the same person, but the unique identifier, like Caleb was saying, with the email aaddresses would be what we're going to want to pivot off of. But that's a great question. It comes up quite often because we do see people, registering twice, under a business and a personal email address. But the ability is there to be able to segment that out and work off of that.
Sure. Yeah, and I think go ahead. Sorry, Jesse. Was there another question?
There was just a question. I think they were kind of clear on what Hint is doing, but what are some of the ways that having the access to all of that information within your CRM, how does that change the way that your marketing strategy? So they're kind of just saying, like, maybe before we'd buy a list or something, and sometimes that information is bad. Maybe the phone number's wrong or something like that. But if they're using a tool like Hint in their CRM and they're putting together their prospecting lists for the day, how does that change the way somebody would then be able to build a marketing strategy around that and use their marketing automation platform for emails and et cetera? Like, how would it, as a marketing automation person or an email marketer, how would this tool change the way they build out their strategy?
I can go ahead and take a.
Yeah, go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, okay. So the difference between how we look at that, list buying is certainly something that's important, and we see that happen a lot. And one of the things that, as a best practice, is what we like to see happen at Acton is go ahead and put those through like a list cleanse, because we want to make sure that when you're buying a list that you're not buying spam traps and get you identified as somebody that is a potential spammer, right? So that's one of the first things that we would really want to work with you on as far as buying the list. When you're getting somebody that is actually registering with their name and email address, they're providing you this information. They're telling you that we do want to receive information from you. So, it's going to change how you're doing it, because you're able to capture all this information that is telling you more about the person than just simply buying a list. And a list is getting a name and an email address. Maybe there's some intelligence in there as far as maybe a position or title or something like that. Maybe not. Maybe really all it is just truly buying a list that says it's in a specific industry. What Hint is able to do, as far as how I've seen it being able to be used, is it's actually going much more in depth than just the name and email. When we looked at what Caleb had done, we were able to see what his exact title was and is, and what company is he specifically working for. So we can start identifying, this company was actually on our target list of somebody that we wanted to penetrate and start, trying to get them to come on as a customer of Fay. So the intelligence is much more specific than a very general email. That's how we would look at it. Caleb, if you've got some other thoughts on that, feel free to jump in on that one.
Yeah, I think just that additional data that you're given from Hint allows you to just build that deeper profile on the prospects that you're going after. I mean, if I was going down a list of prospects and clicking the Hint button there to see more details about them and nothing came up, they didn't have a LinkedIn profile, and I couldn't find them, I mean, that would allow me to waste less time on them and move on to the next prospect that I'm going to talk to. Also, I mean, with all the data that Hint's giving, specifically the title, I mean, that can go into the lead scoring within Acton as well, where you can give a higher point total to those that might be at the C level or might be in an executive position, opposed to those that might be in an intern position. You probably want higher point value given out to the CEO of the company, so you can focus more time on that person. So I think it just gives more data, more personal history, like it says here, more activity history at the sales rep's fingertips to make better decisions on who they're calling and what they're talking to those prospects about.
How does Hint differentiate from some of the other information providers out there? For example, people are often using like Dun & Bradstreet for information, and everyone's using the same information. Like, how is Hint different than some of these other more popular information providers?
I mean, I think the biggest thing is it's right there inside the CRM. So it's giving all that data right to the sales rep right there. It's going to have them increase their adoption of the CRM. So if your sales reps are having a hard time getting used to using the CRM, logging their phone calls, checking in on their prospects and their opportunities, giving them more data right there is going to get them more excited about using it. Same goes with Act-On too. I mean, you're getting all that activity history right there within the CRM. So it's, going to increase the adoption of it and going to, get you more for what you paid for the most part. I don't know, Scott, if you wanted to add anything else to that.
I think you're actually spot on. Anything I was going to say, you actually covered it. So nice job.
If you want to use Hint, does it work with, what CRMs does Hint work with, is the question.
It is a SugarCRM product only, so it's the only CRM that it will work with.
Okay, great, thanks. And so just so everyone that's on, in the chat, I'm putting in the web page that you can visit to learn more about Hint. And if you're interested in grabbing a free trial, you can grab it from that link as well. And then I'm also putting in a link about Act-On, and within there, if you're not familiar with it, there's a video tour that you can take of the product as well and kind of learn some more information. I'll also provide these links in an email follow-up as well as in a recording. So you'll have them all in one place, but if you want to jump on there before the recording is processed, there's a couple of resources for you. And Caleb, Scott, is there anything else you wanted to add? Because I think those are all the questions we had for now.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have a couple more slides here at the end just to drive home the point of how important and the value of Hint here. So this is actually a case study that Sugar actually has in their website done by Nucleus Research. And they found that a salesperson spends 17 minutes researching a lead to prepare for a call without the capabilities of Hint, with a low of 5 minutes of preparation and a high of 30 minutes. And then off to the right here, it's basically saying that, if you consider a sales rep that you've hired for $80,000 a year, if 17 minutes spent on researching a lead, it costs the company, around $11. If they were able to get to a prospect quicker, less than 17 minutes, $11, times 2 is going to be more than what Hint costs per month. So $15 per month per user is the cost for Hint, but it can, just saving time on prep for 2 calls can really cover the cost of what Hint is per month. So just want to drive that home is that it's obviously a very powerful tool we've talked about today, but that you can definitely make up for this very, very quickly. I think that was the last point I wanted to make on Hint. Scott, did you want to follow up with a couple of these slides here at the end? Yeah.
So working together with your, Caleb had said earlier, the adoption of using a CRM and what value can marketing automation offer. So putting those two together, and then actually, if we go further and say bringing Hint into play with that, you're seeing a lot of value within using all these tools. I mean, 80% of marketing automation adopters saw the number of their leads increase. And, while leads are great, what we really want to see is conversions. And key stat there, more than 75% saw their number of conversions increase. And then what a really strong statistic as well that we talk about, and working with Faye and Sugar and Act-On, us all together, companies that are aligned with CRM and marketing automation, what's great is the sales and marketing teams are much more aligned, and there's not this kind of the constant feeling of from sales, oh, marketing is sending us leads that are nothing, and marketing saying, well, sales is sending us leads, or sales isn't following up on the leads that we send over. One of the things that we had chatted about just a little bit ago, but on the website Prospector, what's great about working within Act-On is you can see very holistically what is the interaction that they're having. So we're going to capture every single email that's sent out to them. Are they opening it? Are they clicking through? Where are they truly spending time on the website? Are they registering for leads or for webinars or things like that? Are they interacting with us socially, for example? So this is all stuff that is captured within Acton that is immediately populated over into Sugar. So, kind of like what Caleb had spoken about earlier is, as a salesperson, rather than having to spend all this time trying to do the research on a particular prospect that they're calling down on, well, you've got all that information of who they are, where they work, what type of industry they're in. Add to that the ability to see how are they actually responding. Are they opening up our emails that we're sending to us? Yes, and on lead scoring, are we able to start assigning certain values? If they actually open up an email, maybe that's worth a point, and if they click through something, well, that's worth 5 points. You're starting to see how are they truly interacting with us. So bringing marketing automation and a CRM like Sugar that is so powerful, and then throwing Hint on top of that, absolutely incredible what you can start doing. And then what's an interesting one, and it's always kind of a head shaker for me when I'm talking to customers that are using marketing automation, and they're saying, gosh, we could probably go back and market to our existing customer database, right? And I kind of want to let my head slap down onto my keyboard. I don't, because that's a bad sound, but what we're finding is if companies that have actually put a marketing automation tool in like Acton, their customer churn is substantially reduced because they're engaging with them how they want to be engaged with, and you're showing what's of interest to them. From a salesperson standpoint, boy, there is nothing more attractive to me than an existing customer that's looking for an upsell or a cross-sell opportunity. And if I'm staying in contact with them regularly, I'm not that salesperson sticking his hand up, hey, it's renewal time, and that's the only time they ever hear from you. But we're able to put drip campaigns together and automated campaigns together to stay in constant contact with our existing clientele. So that's what the value actually is. And Caleb, I think there's one more slide. So this is something we wanted to highlight really quickly. So Acton's been around since 2008, and one of the questions that we get is, where are you guys ranked? Forrester and Gartner, and what you're starting to see is we're in the right quadrants to be in. In fact, just last month, a couple of weeks ago, really, Gartner put us in the visionary category, and we're the only person in that category, and so we're the sole in there. But we are able to articulate our vision, and we have the ability to execute on it. This is a huge thing for us within Gartner, because it's setting us outside of what the other folks are out there. And the fact that we have been around for so long, we're in this for the long haul, and especially in a partnering relationship with Faye. This is something, again, I'll use incredibly powerful and valuable for you guys. And that's what I would say at this point.
Yeah, I think that about wraps everything up, unless we have any other questions, Jesse.
Yeah, there was one more question for you, Caleb, for a Sugar user. Do you think it's recommended to use Hint alongside a product like CollabSpot?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, you're just obviously just getting more data, like the title, the contact information, their education history. All more data within Sugar is just going to give you more data, back within the CollabSpot plugin within Gmail as well. So just more data available within Sugar, also within your Gmail as you're working with a tool like CollabSpot.
All right, great, thanks. Yeah, that was the final question.
Okay, I think that's everything we have for today. I think we thank everyone for taking the time out of their day to join us. I apologize again for the technical difficulties there at the beginning. think Jesse's going to send out a couple of links to everyone in the recording of this, but let us know, reach out if you have any questions on Sugar, Hint, Act On, anything related to those.
Agreed. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate your time. Thank you for attending, and we look forward to chatting with you and following up.